This next 5-year window is when you don't go practical and safe. This is not the time to get the job mom wanted you to. This is the time to realize that you have a 5-year window, and it's 3 for some, it's 8 for others, but there's a 5-year window for you to attack the life that you want to win and go and travel and learn. Go and start that business that you've always wanted. Hook up with those 3 teammates and start that band you've always wanted. This is the time to be massively risk.
Hello, Boris.
Hi,
nice to see you. Nice to see you. Always a pleasure. So, guys, I'm here with Boris Golden, principal at Partech Ventures. So, could you please introduce yourself and describe what you did before, your career, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so hi Hanno, hi everyone. So very quickly, originally I was a big fan of mathematics, and then I discovered computer science, especially theoretical computer science, which was very interesting to me because of the mathematical aspect, but the impact also on real life, so more direct impact. So I've been studying maths and computer science for quite a long time, and PhD, been a researcher, and at some point I wanted to have a more concrete and even direct impact on the world, and I got interested into product management, which translated at some point into entrepreneurship. I founded 2 startups. The first one without any knowledge about what startups are. The second one with a bit more knowledge. By a lot of very complicated journey, I ended up actually selling the second startup.
Oh, nice. And
working for the acquirer, which is basically a LinkedIn competitor, former LinkedIn competitor, Viadeo in France. I lived a bit in the valley and so on.
How was it?
And it was a very nice experience. Still, I'm happy to be in France, to be in Europe, because of the culture here, because of the people, because of the social setting. I know most people, most of my friends and family are in Paris. But the Silicon Valley experience was very interesting and very impressive to see the density of smart and hungry people. But also sometimes too much, maybe.
Okay.
And then I was very interested in the fact that I had founded 2 startups, two modest startups, and that the outcomes were vastly different, and that I learned a lot. And what I could feel during this journey was almost every day the feeling that if someone had just 5 minutes of his time every day just to help me and give very simple advice, or sometimes tell me, here, you're totally wrong, think about it differently, and you will find a better answer. Or don't do that, or absolutely do that. It would have helped me a lot. And it didn't look like much afterwards, but at the time it would have been of great help. So I say, you know what, I'd like to be this guy for young entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs. And I say, let's do it. So I became a mentor beside my job at accelerators.
Which one?
In Paris, Numa, so at the time it was Le Camping, Numa Sprint now, and Microsoft Ventures.
Okay.
And now it's Microsoft Accelerator, so both changed name. And I thought, that's fantastic, because I spent a lot of time the week doing that, and I love the experience. It was a kind of mix between innovation, because it's a deeply innovative context, young startups, the teaching and coaching aspect, and so this mix between those 2 elements that have been building blocks in my, academic and professional small career, was there. And I said, well, that's fantastic, I love doing it. And the entrepreneurs I was working with were saying, we really love working with you, it's very helpful, very pleasant, and it was just like, at some point when you do that beside your job for free, you say, that should be my job. If I love it and that I bring values, then that should be my job.
Totally.
And then you start wondering, which job is that?
VC.
No, it was not VC for me. For me, VC is a guy with a suit and a tie who writes checks and who is interested in financial stuff, who reviews Excels only, and so that was not VC, and that was the start of mentor, but it's not a job, right? You cannot say, or really, if you're very good and very rich, you can afford not to be paid, you get some equity, but even, I don't like the idea of getting to an entrepreneur and say, you give me 1% of your company and I will be helping you. How much help are you giving? Is it really worth 1%? And so the truth was at some point that many more senior people that I was interacting with told me you should be an investor. I'd say,
maybe
I don't know the difference between cash flow, net profit, and I was very confused with very basic financial metrics. I say that's not really my thing. I say no. Look, you get it wrong. Early stage investing is not about getting to know those financial things. You will have to get to know them, but it's super easy. And so I started to say, oh, that's interesting. And by chance, I met one of the partners at Partech called Romain Lavaux, who hired me. And we exchanged at a jury at Le Camping at Numa Sprint. Mm-hmm. And he told me, don't you want to be a VC? And I explained him a bit my thinking and say, come, have a look at what you do and you'll see. And I was very impressed and very interested, and that's how I became 2.5 years ago a VC. Fantastic job.
So you like your job?
Yeah, I like my job very much. I'm sure we'll have more opportunity to discuss that, but that's a fantastic job. You get to meet very smart people. You get to have the chance to mutually select each other for a limited number of people, like less than 10 startups in my case, that you can follow for the next years, that you can really help. So more or less, some I really help them a lot, others maybe less, much less. But it's a fantastic opportunity. And you get to see so many things that you learn a lot. We are the unique position in the ecosystem where we see so many data points, and we have this coaching position towards entrepreneurs, so it means that I think as VCs we're uniquely positioned to understand a lot of do's and don'ts in startup and to share them very humbly, and with a lot of care, not saying this is the thing you should do, not saying, no, look, that's interesting. I think that the question you might ask yourself is this one, and let's have a bit of myotics, and okay, it looks like the answer you have to this problem is this. Why? Let's dig into that. You know what? Here, I think there might be a problem here. I'm not sure, but because in many cases that I've seen, that was what occurred. So let's try to see if it's relevant to you. And all this process where you need a lot of psychology and myotics, a lot of this coaching, very benevolent relationship to the entrepreneur, but also all the data points that say, it's not the first time I enter this situation. It doesn't mean I have the answer, but I can probably help you. Think about it and take the best decision. Your decision, but I help you take it. Fantastic job.
So VC is more like, in C is more like helping people and.
So I think it depends.
Yeah.
There is also a lot of marketing and probably a lot of bullshit in the supporting stuff entrepreneurs. And I think, by the way, advice for entrepreneurs, the best way to know is just to ask to people VC have been working with entrepreneurs in the last years, and you'll know if it's bullshit or not. But I think there are 3 building blocks to being a VC: is spotting the right company, which is both being able to actually encounter them, the sourcing part, and being able to actually assess them when you see them. So it's all this is what I call spotting. Then is funding. So funding is having money to invest. Don't forget, some VC don't have so much money to invest. And actually being able to convince the entrepreneur that you're the best partner for him. So then you fund the startup. And the last building block is supporting. Okay. Supporting is key, because if you don't support, you don't bring value, you just pay a check.
A long-term relationship.
Supporting the long-term relationship. But if at some point, my big belief and my deep belief as a VC, and the reason I joined this job is, I think if you're not good at supporting, I think it's the hardest part probably. At some point, you won't be able to fund the right companies, because they will have a lot of proposals, and if you don't have a value proposition as a VC, which goes beyond yourself being a model to a startup, is in terms of the VC firm itself, what do you have to propose in terms of network, in terms of probably frameworks to help, in terms of knowledge bases, in terms of help between the portfolio company and so on. And you have to be really good at those 3 building blocks. And and I think that in the past, VC have been focusing much more on the funding thing, and then on the supporting thing, and that supporting come a bit later, especially maybe in the European and French ecosystem, because it's not what you'll be inclined to do when you're more from a financial background. Especially at the early stage, where it's really about people, strategic decision, vision, product, go-to-market, business model, a lot of things that are not directly related to financial performance, but are more related to innovation itself.
Okay. Human and innovation. Okay. Long-term relationship. Shit. Okay, that's nice. And so, just tell me more about Partech Ventures and what is you are on seed, right? But what is your investment typology on a global basis?
So Partech, one of our main characteristic is first thing, we're a very old firm.
Mm-hmm.
And Partech was born before me.
Really?
1982. Yeah, so Partech is like 35 years old, so which for a company is already a reasonable age,
mm-hmm.
but for a VC firm, it's really a lot. What does it mean? It's first that Partech was founded at a time where it was a bit of a pioneer, especially on the European scene, and then that is a bit long lasting because of course to be there 35 years later with all those crises, bubble, the changes in people managing the firm and so on, it's pretty impressive. And Partech has been really fast growing, by the way, in the past 10 years when management and leadership was taken back by the current managing partner, Philippe Colombel and Jean-Marc Patouillot. Mm-hmm. And so that's really impressive because Partech has been behaving a lot like a startup. You know, I joined Partech less than 3 years ago, and with one of my colleagues that joined the same day, we were thinking yesterday that we're in the top third of the employee in terms of anciennity. We joined less than 3 years ago, and there's already twice the number of employees when we joined that has joined since.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive. Strong growth in terms of asset under management, which is an important number for VCs. I think in the last 10 years, have probably been multiplied by 10, I think. So wow. It's very impressive growth. So that's one of the first characteristics of Partech has been there for a long time, mm-hmm. and has been really fast growing recently. 1 decade is quite recent for at a VC firm timeline. Second one is the international setup. Offices San Francisco, Paris, Berlin, now Dakar.
Oh, really?
Tackle Africa, yeah. So that's news that are to come a bit later. Still a bit announced in the press, but I mean, biggest news are to come later on.
Why Dakar?
Because it has been considered as a strategic point to be able to cover properly a number of strategic African countries for VC investment, obviously. But I mean, I will let the guy in charge of this speak. But so that's now 4 offices, from which we cover most of US, especially West Coast, but sometimes even East Coast, mm-hmm. Europe, Israel, a bit of Asia, and North Africa.
Where in Asia?
So we have been doing a lot of things in South Korea,
okay.
Mainly, and interested in spreading a bit more maybe to Southeast Asia.
Okay.
So not especially China and Japan for now, but I mean, so a lot of interesting things because one of our partner in the US is from there.
Okay.
So that's why. So very international setup. And another characteristic is the large scope of investment from seed fund that start at 150K to growth fund that can invest up to 40 million. So that's big range of investment with pre-seed, seed, venture, and growth funds. So we have a complete setup. We've made this choice to specialize by stage, mm-hmm. knowing that it's not exactly the same job to write a few 100K check to a very, very young company that sometimes even have a product, and to write a dozen of million checks to a company that has already a proven international business and whose bet is more on the growth rate in the next years. So we have a specialized team at each of these stages. Mm-hmm. One of the last characteristics of Partech is really this positioning of wanting to be a supporter and challenger to the entrepreneurs. So it means of our personal, individual personality relationship to our portfolio companies and entrepreneurs. In terms of what we put in place at Partech, for example, we have a deep network of corporate businesses with a dedicated person in-house that helps make business with them. We start to have more and more in-house resources to help our portfolio companies. So we really have this thinking beyond marketing about what does it mean in 2017 to be a VC firm and to try to help entrepreneurs in portfolio company. And that's really something that is in our DNA, and we think a lot about it, and we try to deliver results that ultimately we hope will help entrepreneurs build quicker, more enduring companies. We'll see. Future will tell if we're good at this. But I think in the past we've been already pretty good, and we want to scale and to reinforce that, just to reinforce our leadership.
Okay. But do you want to compete with a index or an Axel partners? in the futures?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we already do.
Sure. But
Yes, I mean, but there is for sure competition in this film. But I think also each one has his style, has his footprint, and what I realized when I joined this job is in Partech is that ultimately it's real competition. So and for me, just in terms of competition, I'm always reluctant to that because, to be honest, most of our fellow colleagues and investors from other funds are friends before being competitors. So the ambition that Partech has, and that is especially led by once again our two managing partners, is strong. I mean, we want to be in terms of brand, of portfolio, of financial return, and of value add in the top tier in any geography, and in the very top tier. So it's not my job to tell whether we have achieved it or not, but I think we are very well positioned to be a go-to VC firm in Europe and in the US. I hope so.
Mm-hmm. We wish you the best to Partech Ventures.
Thank you.
So, could we just go through your first entrepreneurial experience?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
So, I never thought as myself being an entrepreneur. There are some people that are driven by this. For a long time, they knew they want to have their own business. They want to build their own stuff, and that's a core that they have a hard time, refuting, and that is defining itself. I've never been like this.
Okay.
That has been a hazardous journey that brought me to become an entrepreneur. So basically, when I was a researcher, I got interested in product management. I started to freelance for startups there, and then I was freelancing a lot for one of the startups, and so I was almost becoming part of the of the small founding team. But I was not a founder, I was not involved full time there, and at some point, there was a strategic disagreement between the CEO and the two co-founders and me.
Okay.
I was not a co-founder. And basically, the conversation was with the other two co-founders. I mean, at some point, if we disagree so much, maybe we should just get this idea and start our own business. And that's what we did. And so that was really... And when we first created this company, whose name was FGC Network, and I won't go into the detail of what we're doing, expert network, on demand, social network, but it's not really so interesting, I think. I was planning to do my PhD on the side and to spend one day a week, just helping a bit. So I had like a few shares in the company, a reasonable amount, but not the one of a full co-founder. And like 2 months later, I was spending my week on the startup and half a day on my PhD like this. I never told this to my PhD advisor. The first 6 months of my PhD, I wrote most of the articles, and then I was an entrepreneur basically. And so I transitioned without taking any significant risk because I had my PhD on the side. So it means that even I could have my research track, and so I had a salary as a PhD candidate, and so so it was really the safe way to become an entrepreneur. And I started to do that, and I was just like, that's really cool. I like it. And the first startup was totally shitty. We made all the mistakes you can think of, like not being lean, not being agile, building a product nobody wants, making a business model that wouldn't work, tackling a small market, having the wrong mix of roles in the team, all the mistakes you can think about. But by chance, with the CTO of the company, that was also a PhD candidate at the same university I was at, we had built a small tool that was helping us and our two co-founders do the daily tasks. It was basically a productivity tool on top of LinkedIn, Viadeo, and so on. And the idea was to say, when you spend a lot of time trying to research people online and to hunt people online, basically, especially when you head into a sales guy, the product and UX of those social networks sucks. You have a page of 20 people, then you have to open 10 tabs with the 10 that look interesting. You go through the 10 tabs, you select 3 that look interesting, and you do that ever and ever again, and you end up with a list of 50 people you like to contact, and then it sucks. So we did the best tool to actually do that. And we started to realize, after a bit less than 1 year of the startup, that the thing that was valuable in what we did was this tool, and not the platform we wanted to build on the first startup. And in 24 hours, I spent one night without sleeping. I made a pitch deck for us, for this tool, and say, look, guy, you have to pivot. And I think it's probably one of the fastest big pivot that you can do at a startup. After one night, 24 hours, presented this, and we discuss and we say, are you in or not? What do you think? And in the end, everybody was in. In 24 hours, we pivoted, and that was the second startup. But what helped to pivot so quickly is that at some point I realized that the first project was so shitty. Well, it's not so shitty. You can still think, oh, maybe I can change this and this and improve. But when everything is just shitty, that's a great thing because you're not losing anything.
Exactly.
And so that helps a lot to pivot quickly. And so on this startup, I understood most of the mistake I did on the first one. I said, not ever again. No lean, agile, I understand what it means. And so I became the CEO of this new startup. And I was full-time, it was clear, it was my main job. Not my only, but my main. And it was a fantastic experience because we had a vision, a product that was delivering value to people, a clear positioning. It was a fantastic story. And then we were depending on LinkedIn. LinkedIn changed the term of service. We had a big fight with LinkedIn. You can still see articles about this as well. And we had the opportunity to sell. And I was discussing with Viadeo, and that was at the time the biggest LinkedIn competitor. And we sold the company to Viadeo. And I joined Viadeo for more than 2 years. When I told them I would stay 6 months and just make the integration of the product. And actually enjoyed my time there. So even if the company was already at this time having a hard time fighting against LinkedIn, it was an amazing experience. I met my wife there.
Really?
So fantastic. That's the time where I became also a mentor for startups, and that was the premises of my job as a VC. So the two pillars of my wife today, of my life today, my wife and my job were thanks to my time at Viadeo. So even if now the company has almost gone bankrupt and was acquired for almost nothing, it was a fantastic experience. Fantastic.
That's great. And how was the Silicon Valley?
So the thing is, at first I was supposed to move to Silicon Valley, and finally I didn't do that. I've been there for 4 months, and then I had a team there, so I was visiting very frequently. So the reason I didn't want to move there, I think there are 3 reasons. First one is that Viadeo was a French company.
Yes.
So headquarters was in Paris, and you start to realize that you can be influential only if you're in Paris. Stuff happens in Paris. Like Google, everybody working in Google tell you, okay, Zurich, London's great, but if you really want to work on something important, you must go in Mountain Dew, So I was a bit reversed in terms of geography, but the same thing for Viadeo. The more personal reason was first that when I met my future wife at the time, I had good reason to stay in Paris. And the third one was at the time I had spent with my previous experiences in Silicon Valley. I say it's a fantastic place, but maybe I'm not sure I want to actually stay there. I mean, having the opportunity to be there frequently for a few months is great, but maybe living a few years there, I'm not sure it's really what I want to do. So that was a lot of good reason to. And by the way, both professionally and personally, I think that was a great choice to stay in Paris, but to go often in the Valley in San Francisco.
Okay, nice. But what did you see there about startups and entrepreneurship and VCs? I think it's really different than Paris.
Yeah, it's really different. So let's start with the last one, VCs. For my previous venture build, I met very few 2 VCs in Paris and 3 VCs in the US, and I was blown away by the level of the VCs in the US. Mostly former entrepreneurs, much more entrepreneur-minded. I mean, you really feel like those guys could be partner of the entrepreneurs. To be honest, the VCs I had met at the time in Paris, I more like the impression that they were nice guys, but they were more like here to investors. The image you would get of investor and not of entrepreneurs supporting people. So that was something that was really striking, in my opinion. In terms of the overall points, everybody's an entrepreneur. You have the impression that in Silicon Valley, if you're not an entrepreneur at some point, you're a loser. So you create a blog, you're founder of the blog.
Okay.
I thought that it was a bit too much. A lot of bullshit, and everybody's funding a startup when seriously, I mean, that's what I'm saying to people when they say, don't you want to fund a startup again? I say, look, when I was at Viado, I say, being an employee is fantastic and I can take holidays and the company doesn't need me to actually run at all. I have a paycheck at each month end. I'm not wondering will be still alive in 6 months. So it's also a peace of mind. It can still be challenging. So first thing, so I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone. And I think that you need a lot of factors to be a good entrepreneur. You need to have met the right people, to have an idea that turned into a strong vision that you really want to make come true, to have the right market timing that makes it plausible that you can succeed with this vision. I mean, so that's so many things. So actually, I think you can say, I will become today an entrepreneur. You can say, I'm interested in having a startup, and let me try to create this opportunity to have all those factors together, team, idea and vision and market together, so that, yes, I think that it's the right time to actually commit myself, but that's my opinion at least. So in Silicon Valley, I was just saying it's a bit too much around startups and tech, and I love this ecosystem. Obviously, I'm a VC now, but I thought, I'm also a big believer that it's not the only thing in life, and that there's a lot of other way to be professionally, happy and productive and respectful, and so that was a bit too much to me. And also, everybody was a founder, a mentor, or whatever. And in France, I don't say that there is a shit, but
how is it in France and in Europe?
So, I mean, in France, I kind of like the ecosystem. I think that's the right mix between maybe a bit too much hype sometimes in startup and so on, but at the same time, it's still reasonable. I think it's still reasonable. That means that startup has a big, share in the media, in the mind of people and so on, but I still believe that, it has not become so mainstream that absolutely everybody wants to do that. Sometimes, I think that we should be careful of hype, because once again, it's totally useless to say, I will create my startup if you don't have this conjunction of factors, because you will just lose a lot of time. Okay, maybe it will be a free MBA, maybe, but I mean, I still think it can be a waste of your time to compare with joining a fantastic startup that's fast growing, And so I think that actually, that brings me to a point that I think is very critical and very interesting, is that being a founder is overrated. Okay. You can have many of the benefits by joining an early stage startup, and so what I would suggest to somebody that doesn't have really a strong vision, say first join a 10 to 50 people really promising startup that you love, with people you love. You'll probably learn a lot, and then be in a much better position to decide whether you want to fund a startup and to actually have the right experience and mindset to actually make it happen.
Exactly.
If you want it. So
that's what I'm trying to do. In fact, in Asia here and doing some interviews. It's my goal.
And I think it's a very smart way to do it. And by the way, when you become a VC, start to realize how hard it is to be successful as a founder.
Exactly.
Even if you have the lens of selecting already the people we see, and even in the company we fund, being actually very successful is super hard. It's super hard. So no, you really have to be maybe extremely ambitious, but extremely committed to your project. That's why people are patient and have a purpose are so strong funders. Because if you're just in for the money, you have so many reasons just to get discouraged when you're a founder. And sometimes if you're in for the money, just join Salesforce like 5 years ago, or Google, or just join big tech companies that are fast growing and that are still have potential to have to distribute a lot of stock options and big salaries. You get in average much richer this way. So no, you cannot do that for the money. I think it's stupid to do that for the money. I'm not saying doing that for the money is not a good thing, but I'm saying I think it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, you need to have many other reasons to.
Yeah, and the sense of purpose. Best founders are probably the one that they want to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's and even if they don't get a lot of money out of that, and they realize that at some point they're still so committed to the project that.
Okay, so linked to your past answer. So, what is the most important element for startup success?
Oh, so that's that there is a lot of debate. There's a lot of actually studies. Some say market timing. I will give you the VC and entrepreneur answer. So I'm not saying the right answer. It's my gut answer is that it's really about the team you have. Okay. So it means I was the funding team, of course, and then your ability to attract, select, and the right people. And so it's not the only element. You can probably debate who is the most important, but I think in my experience as a founder and what I've been seeing in my almost 3 years of VC, having the right people on board. Mm-hmm. And not just the founders, and once again. Because once you have this, everything is possible. When you have a killer team, the rest is so much easier. I'm not saying it's not hard, but you're not onto exactly the right market opportunity. You can pivot. You have a tech problem. There is a lot of things you can make happen when you have the right people, in the company.
Okay, that's true. And so 2 more questions. So, what could you advise to a millennial who want to succeed in business?
So first thing to really think about what success means to them.
Okay.
That's super interesting. I mean, it's a bit cliche, but let's give a very example. Imagine you're C-level at a top startup, say Uber or something. Fantastic stories, and Uber has been having some problems recently. But a C-level or VP at a very successful startup. So by all means, when people look at your CV, everybody can say you're successful. You're young and for this position and so on, and you get married but you work so much that you divorce, maybe you don't have children or you hardly see them, and you don't have so much of a personal life, and that's the first thing, because you work too much. I'm not saying it has to be this way, but And the second one that is senior manager at, let's say, in a tech company to keep the same area, very happy with his job, good colleagues, he's good at what he does. Then the ambition to actually climb the ladder, happily married, children or not, whatever, has a lot of personal time for leisure, sees friends. So of course, it's a bit cliche, the definition of success that is professionally focused would consider success as the first one, and I think that many people would consider success in your life is the second one. So that's something very important that to define. What I'm not saying that the first one is not successful. By the way, maybe if your number one factor is professional and you want to climb the ladder and you're happy with that, then it has been successful. But you see that here it's very personal and hard to define success. Yeah. So my first advice would be to say, really. And it's hard to find out the answer. It's not constant in life, it will change, but try to define and to make evolve your own definition of success, not what society or media or being a founder is not being successful. I have a lot of friends that now are super happy employees and at some point wanted to be startup founders, and they realize now that it was not a good choice for them. And so there is no superior choice. The superior choice is not the one that people think is the shiniest, is the best, is the one that would make you happy and satisfied in life. So that kind of look very basic, but just me, I've been having like 5 different jobs, and before becoming a VC, I had no idea even 4 years ago that I would become a VC. And now I really think that's something that corresponds to what I want to do, what I'm good at, and so it can be very hard. But I encourage people not to find the answer, but at least to ask the right question and to be sure that they optimize for them and not for other people and for the vision of other people. So that would be already something very, very important. Then is to be open and to try things. I think that some people have a calling, say no at their 10s, they want to be a doctor, and at 30s they are a doctor, and those people are very lucky. I think they're really very lucky. I think for most of the people that are like me, they're not sure. They might think they are calling on something like I thought on maths and computer science, but maybe they realize that it's not the right job for them, or not the right also lifestyle. Maybe you want to be a doctor, but you realize that the doctor stress and lifestyle is not the one that makes you happy, and so you will change, And so I think that it's quite hard to actually know about something and know about your reaction to something before having experiences. So I think being open, trying a lot of different things can really help also. Okay. So that would be more like this, more fun, pick the right co-founders and so on, and that probably, even for people listening to the podcast, probably that for most people, entrepreneur is probably not the right way.
Maybe.
I think statistically speaking, I'm pretty sure to be right. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you better have better reason rather than because it looks cool and because I want to be my own boss and whatever. It's super hard to be an entrepreneur, and so you better have deeper reason than that.
Okay.
And so but for people that have this entrepreneur fit, it's fantastic. But I mean, very few. And I mean, to be clear, myself now with that I've been more mature, I'm not a good entrepreneur. I don't think so. I think I'm a much better VC than entrepreneur. And I was an entrepreneur by chance, but I know this professional and personal journey that brought me to be an entrepreneur. And I've been super happy to be an entrepreneur for those years. But now maybe at 40 I will be an entrepreneur again. I don't know. But right now, I don't think so. Seriously, I don't think so. And I think that I'm my personality and my skills I'm much more VC than entrepreneur.
Okay.
But we'll see. The future will tell.
Sure. We never know. So last question: what is the most impactful moment of your 5-year window? So maybe you had many 5-year windows. So maybe you are at the middle of one window of your life. I
mean, I'll probably say those last 5 years.
Okay.
I mean, it's a hard question. So let me try to answer exactly the question. But I mean, I think the time where I've been building myself the most and changing the most, I've been the last 5 years.
Okay.
Met my wife, got married. So on a personal level, a lot of things.
Okay.
On a professional level, transition from being an entrepreneur to being acquired and working for the acquirer and being a mentor to now becoming VC. So, that's quite a lot that happened and changed me deeply, and that made me closer to the real self, I think.
Okay.
And I think in terms of one very punctual moment, I think it was more like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to have a safe life.
Okay.
My safe life would have been to be a researcher. I could just, finish. I finished my PhD. I just be finishing only my PhD, focusing on that. I had a girlfriend at the time. Could be with her now. I mean, that would have been the pleasant, no risk life.
Okay.
You don't take risk with the current situation. You have a quite safe path to, and I started to realize at both a personal and professional level that was not what I wanted.
Okay, so you needed more.
I started to realize different, probably more also, but different.
Okay.
And I started to realize that, and then, but what do you do when you realize that? When is enough? To go back to more, are some people that are never satisfied at some point. So, and I'm a bit risk averse, which can look a bit pretty, laughable for VC, but I must say I'm quite risk averse in my life, and I had a hard time actually accepting that I would let go this professional and personal comfort. Saying, I think I aspire to something different and probably better in terms of my personal life, my personal relationships, and my job. And so realizing that and taking action on that was probably the single most important moment in my life to become who I am today. Taking this risk to say, maybe I will end up having a job I don't like in a stressful environment and not finding the person I want to spend my life with. But it's worth taking the risk, because if not, you end up with comfort in a medium zone where you're not really happy and you only have one life. And this is really, I think, the most pivotal moment of my life.
So you took your chance. Yeah,
I took my chance, and I'm happy to have done so. It's easier to say that when it was a successful outcome, but I think that you probably regret to do that, but not to do that. I mean, so no, that's and as you could see that there is a lot of both personal and professional, because I think that both are very intertwined, and I think that it's a mistake to have a look at just one and not the other. For example, in successful, even by the way, it's interesting, even in the relationship we have today as a VC in the ecosystem, the fellow VCs, the entrepreneur from the portfolio, the colleague at Partech, all this, the frontier between pure professional relationship and someone that you're quite friend with is is very blurry. You know that most of those people are people I enjoy spending time with, and and part of the job is in a way to build relationship with those people. So truth is that even with this, the frontier between professional and personal is very blurry. I have one computer, I have one phone, they do both. I used to have two, and now I realized it was useless because I'm always selected to my professional life. So that's just one, So that's my conclusion, I guess.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Boris.
You're very welcome.
Your time.
You're very welcome.
And thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Boy, if you're lucky enough to be graduating today with not a fucking idea of what you're gonna do with your future, nobody's ever been luckier than you. Please recognize it.